Welcome to Cambridge English Language Institute. This is Ansar Ahmed and today's video I'm going to talk about parts of speech. What is actually parts of speech? So first of all, let's define the word parts of speech, and later on we will discuss that different kinds of speech, especially noun and its kinds in this video. So let's see what is basically parts of speech. So let me talk about first of all definition of parts of speech. Definition of parts of speech. Words are divided into different kinds or classes according to their function is known as parts of speech. What is actually parts of speech? So words are divided into different kinds or classes according to their function is known as parts of speech. So we may define here that words are divided, that is called here divided into different kinds, that is called different kinds or classes according to, that is called according to their function. Their function is known as parts of speech. What is actually parts of speech? So we may define the word parts of speech. What is actually parts of speech? So we may define that words are divided into different kinds, or may also called classes according to their functions. Let me give you example that how the words of a word show their functions, how the word show different functions. So I'm going to write a sentence and tell you that how the words function in a sentence. The example is, that is called here example as Omar runs fast. Omar, that is called here Omar runs fast, F-A-S-T, fast. So these are the words, and this sentence different words are there, and these words have their own functions. So the first word is, that is actually called the noun. What is? Yes, Umar is, the word Umar is present in the place of subject, but what is the function of this word? Umar is actually called noun. It is basically called noun. So the word Umar function is what? That is called noun. If we talk about here the run, that is called run. So what is runs according to that grammar? So runs function is, that is called here, that is called verb. That is called a verb here. And if we talk about here the next one, that is called fast. What is the function of fast? As you know that it is adverb. That is called adverb here. Yes, as we know that one word has many meaning. How you will find him? Where the word it used, you can find the meaning of it here. And here fast is adverb because it modifies the verb that is called runs. So look at here. There are three words, and these three words have different function. The first word function is noun, runs, verb, and next one fast is called adverb. So these different functions are called parts of speech. Now, as we know that there are 9 parts of speech. Sometime some grammarians say that there are 9 parts of speech, but actually article is a part of adjective. Article is a part of adjective. In modern English we call that determiner. So we will discuss that there are 8 parts of speech. What are the parts of speech? Let's discuss it, and then we will discuss a little bit detail. How many parts of speech have? There are 8 parts of speech. We call it here, there are 8 parts of speech. There are 8 parts of speech. We call it here 8 parts of speech. Parts of speech. That is called here speech. Now, what are their names? So the first one is called, we call it here, that is called noun. We call it here noun. And the second one is called pronoun. That is called pronoun here. The third one we may call it here, that is called adjective here. That is called adjective here. And if we talk about here the fourth one, so we may call it here, that is called adverb. Adverb here. And if we talk about fifth one, so the fifth parts of speech is called verb. And next parts of speech is called sixth one, that is called we call it here preposition, that is called preposition here, preposition here. And parts of that is called number 7, we call it called conjunction, that is called conjunction here. And the last parts of speech we call it 8 number, that is called 8 parts of speech, it is called interjunction, that is called interjunction, that is called interjunction. So we have total 8 parts of speech, and some grammarian think that there are 9 parts of speech, but actually that is called article. Article is a part of adjective, and modern English we call determiner. Now we will discuss one by one these parts of speech. First we will discuss noun, and then we will talk about that kinds of noun in this video as well. So now let's talk about that what is basically noun. So we may define the word noun, that what is basically noun here, and then kinds of noun also. That if we talk about that according to the Renan Martin book, that is called English Grammar and Composition book, there are so many different books like Explore of the Word. From different books I got the different definition. So now I am going to define the word noun. What is basically noun? So we may define the word, that a word used to name a person. What we call here? A word that is called a word used to name a person, place, thing, that is called things, idea, we can call here idea, and maybe that quality as well, quality etc. What is basically noun? So we may define that a word used to name a person, place, things, idea, and quantity, and many more as well. So for example, let's talk about the examples of noun. Let's talk about here the examples of noun here. So if you look at here the example of persons, we may call it here like person. So as we know that, like we can call it here Ali. Like if we talk about place, so we may talk about here that is called Peshawar, here. And if we talk about here things, so we may call it here that is called things. Like we can call book, and if we talk about idea, so we may call it here idea, that is called idea. Like we can call that fear, we can call fear like love, etc. So this was about noun. Now let's talk about the kinds of noun. In this video I will discuss total 8 kinds of noun. So let's discuss kinds of noun. What are the kinds of noun? So let's see. This was about noun, and now let's talk about kinds of noun. We can talk about here kinds of noun, that is called nouns here. Kinds of nouns. Nouns are divided into different kinds. Let's talk about that what are the different kinds. So the first kind is called, we call it here common noun. That is called common noun. That is called here common noun. The second we can talk about that proper noun. We call it here proper noun here. And if we talk about the third one, so the third noun we can call it here collective noun. We can call it what kind of noun? That is called collective noun. We can call it here collective noun. And the fourth one is, we call it concrete noun. That is called concrete noun. And the fourth one is, that is called abstract noun. We call it here abstract noun here. And if we talk about noun number 6, that we call countable noun. What kind of noun? Countable noun. And noun number next is count number 7, that is called uncountable noun. Uncountable noun. And next noun is called, that is called, we call it material noun. Material noun. Yes, there are more kinds of noun also, but in this video I am going to talk about that these 8 kind of nouns with examples. The first noun is called common noun. Next one is called proper noun. The third one is called collective noun, and the fourth one is called concrete noun. Fifth one is called abstract noun, and next one is called countable noun, and next we have uncountable noun, and as well as that material noun. Now let's talk about one by one with example. So let's see first of all what does common noun mean. So first of all, let's define the word common noun. So we can call that a common noun is, what does common noun mean? So we can say that common noun is common noun. What does basically common noun mean? A common noun is a name that is called a common noun, that is called common. We call it here common noun. Common noun is a name that is called given. We call it here given, and common, that is called common to every. We call it every person, that is called person, or things, or we call it here things. We call it things of the same, things of the same. We call it here same. Kind or class, that is called kind or class. We can call it here class. What is basically common noun? A common noun is a name. Sorry, missed here, that we can call it here a name here. That is what? A name here. So what is basically common noun? So we can simply define that a common noun is a name given and a common to every person or thing of the same kind or class. Let's talk about the example here. The first example is like persons. Look at the example. I want to give example about persons. That is called person. We talk about here, that is called persons. Like I can call here, that is called person. Like person, I say boy, that is called boy here, boy. So like for example, I say teacher, I may call it here teacher. For example, I say brother, for example, I say brother. You may talk about sister or many more, etc. But how you will identify that common noun? So I will tell you a simple method. For example, if somebody say that person, so you have to ask this question, which one person? So if it refer to same person, so it will be considered what? Common noun. Like for example, I say boy, so you say which one boy? So that will be considered what? Common boy. But if you say Umar, so that is called particular. Here if I say teacher, so definitely you have to ask the question, which teacher? So which teacher? So it means it is called common noun. When you ask a question like which, you can identify here very easily. Now if we talk about that things also, you can also increase one which I missed here, person, things, or also that you can also talk about one more, that maybe talk about place as well. I can increase here, that is called place also, that place also here. Like for example, let's give example about the place, that is called place here. Like we can call places here. We can talk about places here. For example, I say city. So city is what? City is a common noun. City is what? Oh, that is called CITY. City is common noun. Town is what? Town is also basically called a common noun. Like for example, you can say district. So if you want to identify that common noun, so you can ask about, like for example, city. Which one city? So with the help of which you can identify that these nouns, etc. That is called ETC. And if we talk about things, and you know things are always common. If we talk about things here, like I say, that is called things. We call it here things. Like for example, I say book. I say that is called book. Book is what? Book is a common noun. For example, I say chair. So chair is what? Chair is a chair is what? That is called a common noun. Beside this, you can also talk about that table, etc. ETC here. So this is about what? Common noun. Now there are some rules for writing a common noun. For writing a common noun, that how will you write a common noun? If you want to write a sentence, if you want to write a paragraph or maybe essay, so how will you write a common noun? There are some rules for writing a common noun. Let's discuss that. What are the rules? What are the rules? When you want to write a common noun, so the first letter of the word, when you want to write the beginning of the sentence, if a common noun, you want to begin the first letter of a sentence, so the common noun must be capital. Like for example, just look at example. If I say common noun is there, For example, I want to say that example of common noun. So if the common noun, you want to write the beginning of the sentence, so the first letter must be capital. And beside this, when common nouns come at the middle of the sentence, at the end of the sentence, so you must write what? You must write with small letter. Like for example, I have say that I want to write, like for example, school. So school is actually common noun. School is actually common noun. But if I want to write the beginning of the sentence, so the first letter must be capital. The first letter must be capital. For example, I say school is a best place, that is called a best place for learning. Place for learning, that is called learning here. That is called learning here. Learning here. Look at if you look at this sentence, so S is what? School is common noun. But when you want to write the common noun, the beginning of the sentence, so the first letter must be capital. The first letter must be capital. Beside this, if you want to write the common noun at the middle of the sentence, end of the sentence, it must begin with a small letter. Now let's talk about the opposite of it. We call that proper noun. So what is basically proper noun? Let's talk about that one also. Let's see proper noun. We call it here proper noun. That is called proper noun. What is basically proper noun mean? So we may define that a proper noun is the name of particular person, place or thing. What we call here? So we may define here that what does proper noun? Proper noun means a proper noun is, that is called proper noun. A proper noun is the name of some particular name of, that is called name of some, that is called some particular persons or places, that is called here places, etc. etc, etc. Like how? For example, let's talk about that particular persons. Like I say, example is here, I want to write here, that is called persons. So how you say? If I say Umar, so Umar is what? Umar is a noun, but what kind of noun? It's a particular noun, and there are some rules for writing a particular noun. We talk about later on as well. Now next one is, if I say that is Ali, so Ali is what? Ali is a basically what? Proper noun. Beside this, if we talk about places, so let's see, for example, places we have, like for example, if I want to talk about Naushera, so and what we want, that should be capital here, Naushera. Beside this, you can talk about Peshawar. We can talk about that Peshawar here, that is called Peshawar, etc. Peshawar, etc. here. Now for a proper noun, there are rules how to write a proper noun. So there are a few rules. The rule number first is, whenever you want to write a proper noun, so the first letter of proper noun must be written capital. If it is the beginning of the sentence, middle of the sentence, end of the sentence. Let me give you example. The example is, for example, I want to write example. The example is, what is actually the example is? Let's see. Example is, that is called here, example is, I play, or just say that I study on Sunday. That is called here Sunday here. Or I study the books on Sunday. No need of it. Just look at the example here. This one is Sunday is what kind of noun? It's a proper noun. And the rule for writing a proper noun is that when a proper noun comes, the beginning of the sentence, middle of the sentence, end of the sentence, it must be written with a capital letter. So this S must be written what? Capital. If you write this S small, it will be considered incorrect. Besides this, if you talk about the name of cities, states, countries, days of the week and months of the year, the first letter of their oaths should be written in a capital here. So this was about the proper noun. Now let's talk about another noun. Noun number third, that is called collective noun. What does collective noun mean here? Let's see. Noun number third is called collective noun. That is called collective noun. We call it here collective noun. What does collective noun mean? A collective noun is the name of collection of person or things. Let's see what we call it here. We call it here a collective noun. That is called here a collective noun is the collection, that is called collection of, that is called things. We call it here things, or maybe called persons, that is called person here, that is called person here. Like how, what is actually collective noun? So we may define very simply, very simple, that is called a collective noun is the name of, what we can say that a collective noun is the collection of things. What we call here, a collective noun is the collection of things or persons. And let's give example, like how, for example, I say that example of things we call block, that is called block, block. What does block mean? Block means that a large solid piece of material is called block. So it is counting things. And if we talk about persons, let's talk about that person. Like for example, I say team. So team is what? Team is actually called that a collection of players, or because a number of players. We call what? We call team. Besides this, we can call that family. You know, family. Family is also considered what? Family is also called collective noun. There are many more like police, jury, etc. here. So this one is called what? This one is called collective noun. Now let's talk about another noun, which is called concrete noun. What does concrete noun mean here? If we talk about here, noun number 4 is concrete noun, that is called concrete noun. What does concrete noun means? What does concrete noun mean? A concrete noun is the name of a thing that can be seen or touched. What is here? We may call it here a collective noun, or we can say concrete noun, that is called concrete noun is the name of things that can be, we call it here, that can be touched, that is called touched or seen, or we call it what? We call it seen here, that is called seen. Let's talk about example here. For example, I say book, so we can see the book and also we can touch here. Beside this, we can talk about chair, so you can also see and touch as well. Beside this, you can also talk about here like table, so you can see table and touch here. So this one is called concrete noun. Now noun number 5, let me discuss here, that is called abstract noun. So what is basically abstract noun? Let's see. Abstract noun, noun number 5, abstract noun. We call it here abstract noun. So what does abstract noun mean? Abstract noun means, an abstract noun is the name of quality, action or state. Simple, we call it here an abstract, that is called an abstract, abstract noun is the name of quality, we call it here quality, or action, we call it here action or state, we call it what? We call it abstract noun. Let me give example about the quality. Like for example is about quality, we have brave, that is called brave. What is here? Or beside this, you can also talk about like we call here, and just sorry this is brave also, but we can say that beauty, that is called beauty. So beauty is what? That is called quality. Beside this, you can also talk about here, that is called beside this, you can also talk about intelligence, truth, that is called truth is also. And if we talk about action or state, so let's give example about the action and state. Like for example, I say love, so love is what? That is action, we can call state also. Beside this, you can also talk about like fear, and beside this, you can also talk about like anger. So these all are called what? These all are called abstract noun. Now let's talk about that what is basically countable noun and uncountable noun, and the last one which we call material nouns, which we talk about that material nouns. So noun number 6. Now we come to the noun number 6. What is noun number 6? That is called here countable noun. We call it here countable noun. What is basically countable noun? A countable noun is the name of the thing that you can count it. What we can say, that can be counted. Sorry, we can call it that can be counted. So we call it here. What does a countable noun mean? A countable noun, that is called countable countable noun. Countable noun is the name of is the name of things, that is called things that can be counted, that can be counted, that is called counted here. We call it a counted here. What is basically countable noun? A countable noun is the name of things that can be counted. And as we know that countable noun has two forms. One is called singular, one is called plural as well. So let's see that what are the forms. If you look at here, it has two forms. One is called singular, and the second one is called plural. The second one is called the plural here. And as we know that we can also use article before singular countable noun. What are that articles which we call indefinite article? One is called a, one is called an. Let's see, let's give example here. The example is, for example, I want to talk about book. So book is singular. Before the book I have to add what? A book. But when I convert to plural, so I will remove, it will count it like books. It will be counted like books. Like if I want to talk about that apple, so if I say apple, so beside the apple I have to use what? N here, that is called N. And if I'm talking about apple, so that we talk about plural, so that will be removed here. That will be removed here, because as for the rules that when there is a sound of vowel, so before the sound of vowel we have to use N. If there is a consonant sound we have to use A. But remember it that if you use here A or N, so it will be considered incorrect, because indefinite articles are used before the singular countable noun. Now let's talk about that uncountable noun. Uncountable noun is also called non-countable nouns. Non-countable nouns here. So let's see what we call, that is called uncountable noun. We may call it here uncountable, that is called uncountable noun. Uncountable, we can call there, that is called uncountable noun. An uncountable noun, we call it here, an uncountable noun is the name of a things that cannot be counted. We can call it here that cannot be counted, and it has only singular form. It does not have plural form. Let's discuss that how it is. For example, I say it has only singular form, that is called singular form. And you must remember that we can't use a or n before singular uncountable noun. Let's give example. For example, if I say water, so I can't write a or n. Look at here, if I write here a, so it will be considered incorrect, because water is what? Water is uncountable. Besides this, if I want to talk about milk, so I can't write here a, because what? Milk is what? Milk is uncountable noun. And also you can't add s, because water is what? Water is present in singular form. We cannot write there waters. Waters. We cannot make them plural of it, because these words are present, and what kind of condition? That is called singular noun. And also we are not allowed to add a or n. Now let's talk about the last noun, which we call that material nouns. What is basically material nouns? Let's see, that is called material nouns. That is called here material noun. What does material noun mean here? That is called material noun. So what does material noun mean? A material noun is the name of a things or substance out of which things are made. We can call it here a material noun, that is called here a material noun. A material noun is the name of things, that is called things, or substances, that is called substances, out of which things are made, things are made here, that is called here made here. Let's see what is basically material noun. We may simply define that a material noun is the name of things or substances out of which things are made. Like for example, if we take example here, so we can take example of milk. From milk we can make many things. Besides this, if we take the example of gold, from gold we can make many things. And besides this, we can also take the example is like silver. Besides this silver, besides silver, we can also take, like, we can call that soil. From soil we can make many things here. So that was end of the kinds of noun. And I hope that you will watch the video till the end, and if you have any kind of questions regarding the lectures, that you can write and comment. And this lecture was prepared from the different books. It was prepared from the book of CSS, which is written by Hafiz Chotai, a book. That's it.